Hi, I am Kendall Rawls with the Rawls Group, and I am here to welcome you to our discussion. Consider us your tribe of sorts, where we chat about all things related pretty much to anything. As your tribe, we provide 5 different perspectives from our unique view of the world. We are pioneers, trailblazers, go-getters, power professionals, marvelous moms, friends, dog lovers, and so much more. Our discussions span from leadership, business, relationships, and personal growth, and everything in between. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the tribe. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the feeling of spiraling out of control. Sometimes you feel like you're spiraling down, and a really great coach of mine, Brigitte, who's on part of this tribe, she pointed out one time, could you be spiraling up? Could the spiral out of control or the spiraling down be transition? So you may still be spiraling, but you're spiraling more in an upward trajectory. And this thought process, I went hiking last week, and this last month has been pretty challenging for me. I lost 2 people that I really cared about. I had worked through COVID and a really big, it's just a tough month in terms of work. And I went hiking last week. I got out of town hiking. I was in nature, which is one of my favorite places. And I had sprained my ankle about 4 months ago. And I'm walking down this trail and I twist my ankle again. And I fall down and I scream on top of my lungs, can I just catch a freaking break? And then in that moment, some wise words of just self-development I've done is that when you're in the stinking thinking mode, in your negative mode, the things that are going bad is what seems to be most prevalent. And I laid there for a minute, my dog, and I was in the mud and it was cold and wet because it had just snowed in North Carolina. My dog came and licked my face, and I looked at her and I said, we are winners. There's opportunity everywhere and good things are going to happen. So that was my moment where I was going to begin at that point to begin spiraling up. And it's so common, I think, in many of our lives where it could begin in a personal way, a business way, in a relationship where something feels like it's going wrong. And then all of a sudden they just begin adding up. Even that thought process of things come in threes. As I had lost some people, I had this nervousness, who else was going to pass? And I began calling everybody and saying, please be safe. So long story short, wanted to ask you guys, what are your tricks or what are your thought process for changing the spiraling down to spiraling up?
So Kendall, I love this topic. You know, I do, because we started talking about it before we hit record, right?
Yes.
And because we got excited, even passionate. And when we started talking about it, you know, for me, it's that tornado. It's that chaos. It's like, oh my God, like I can't even focus. I have the complete tornado, chaos, everything crazy going on. And it's that, you know, tornado is that spiral, right? However, you know, amongst all of that chaos comes the clarity. And sometimes life has to throw you a whole bunch of crap, good, bad, or indifferent, just throw you all kinds of stuff. And you look at your plate and you go, oh my God, I can't fit this on my plate. And what my mother used to said was, get a bigger plate, because you don't get handed more than you can handle. I'm going to say that again. You don't get handed more than you can handle. It's a choice on how you're going to break it down and handle it. And when I get into that chaotic and things are so crazy, I've got to look at, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And one of the things I do is I bounce it off of you beautiful ladies. Like, okay, guys, everything's out of control right now. Help me see clearly. And having that group that you can go to and say, help me see the clarity in all of this chaos right now, because sometimes we are so in the midst of all of it that we don't see what's right in front of us. And it takes that person from the outside to go, oh, look what you have right here. And you're like, oh crap, it was there the whole time.
I think it's important to say with that, Jeannie, I want to make sure we all the whole group of everybody listening understands that a tornado and the spiraling doesn't mean it's all this stuff hitting you. It could be anything that gives you this sense of overwhelm, from your day's to-do list, or if you guys could have seen my desk earlier, walking in and seeing my desk and not even knowing where to start. And then all of a sudden I'm spiraling in my day and wondering how I'm going to make time to get on to the next thing, or how I'm going to make time to have a conversation with my daughter when she called, and my granddaughter to see her. So it's not just all the big stuff, but it's everything. We start to get that sense of overwhelm. We start spiraling. And so I think finding that way to spiral up, as Kendall and Jeannie have said, is critically important. And sometimes, Kendall, I want you to move just a little bit to the side, because I think you've got a saying behind you that kind of relates to this. Believe in the breath. So it's taking a time. We were actually joking about this before we started recording too, is pause, Kendall, pause. So it's like taking time to sit with it and just take a big, deep breath and believe in that, and stop for a moment and allow yourself to reset and recalibrate. I think sometimes that can take that spin and stop it just a little bit, so that we can now take our control back.
Love that.
Brings back a memory. I love this topic and this conversation. My daughter, Amelie, who moved to Berlin, who is now in Munich, 4 weeks and 3 days ago,
Wow.
called me probably 10 days ago, 7 days ago, and said, everything's falling apart. Everything is falling apart. Nothing is working. It's all of these generalizations of nothing is going right. And I said, wait. Let me stop you there. Do you have a job? And did you have a job the first week that you got there? Well, yes. Do you have a place to crash? Because you asked a friend if you could crash at his place, and he's like, oh yeah, you can have the place for the entire month because I'm in the States. And the apartment's empty. You don't even have to pay for it. And she goes, yeah. So as I'm going through the list and making her aware of all of the goodness that's happening, it brought back a gratitude and appreciation within her awareness. And then she stopped, she paused, and she says, oh, that's what you mean when you say what you focus on expands. And I said, yeah, exactly. It didn't come out of my mouth. It came all out of her mouth. But gratitude, I think, is a big piece in that. When we focus on what's going right, and we give gratitude that everything is going to happen, like you said, Kendall, in my favor, it's going to all work out because I say so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting too. I do this sometimes when I play volleyball. When I get in what seems to be a run that I'm either hitting the ball into the net, out, or every ball is being picked up by the opponent, I'd get really frustrated. And then I go, there are opportunities and holes everywhere. The court is so big and there's only 2 people on that side. There are holes everywhere. So to that point, focusing on, or what you focus on expands, focusing on what opportunities there are, what in a basketball or a volleyball game, what shots are available, in a business environment, what creative thinking or creative options are available to expand or to overcome something that may be demotivating. I will say, I think, I can't remember if Jeannie said it in this episode or one prior, it does take a tribe or a group like this to remind you of that. Going through life without a support, one, someone who can listen, and 2, who can help turn your head to the left or right or completely around. It's difficult. So having people that can give you that guidance, I think, is so required when you feel that the walls are closing in, or you just have to see beyond it. I mean, exactly what you did with your daughter, Brigitte. What is going right?
I think a great message in that, Kendall, is it's not only us individually not getting caught up in that spiral, which is very easy for us, I think, as women to do. But Brigitte, your example is a great one with your daughter, where we also can't get caught up in other people's spiral, where we need to pause for them so that we can help them kind of unspiral or, unmess themselves a little bit. So I think, Kendall, to what you were just saying, it's really important to recognize when we're in that pattern of spiral, but also when somebody else is, and how can we help? I think for those listening, the really big thing, the reason we're all here is because we all come together as a group and we're authentic and we're vulnerable and there's things we're not afraid to share. And I think that's the first piece of this. It's like if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling like you're in a spiral, the very first thing is saying something to somebody. And I was talking to the ladies before we started recording about some personal, stuff that I was going through a few years ago that's very emotional and very close to our family. And I took the chance one day by, just talking with my hairdresser, who happens to be a friend, but I tend to not talk about stuff that's really close to our family because we live in such a small community that I don't really want to let a whole lot of people into it. And when I say a small community, I mean, I'm in rural New Hampshire, it's very small. So I took the chance this one day, and all of a sudden I developed this relationship with her that was above and beyond just friendship, but she's a huge spiritual mentor of mine. So it took me actually being willing to say something. And I wasn't necessarily asking for help, but I guess in fact, that's what I was doing. And the guidance that she gave me helped me stop immediately in the spiral that I was in and give me tools to then go forward over the course of the next several weeks and what I was navigating. So I think what I'm trying to get to here in a long-winded form is you first have to be willing to not be afraid to say something or to share what's going on with yourself so that helps you take that pause as well.
Yeah. And until you can get to that person, sometimes you're like, okay, I still need to get stuff done. Right. And I sit down at my desk and I'm like, holy cow. If I was really truly vulnerable, but I'm not going to be totally today, and I shut off this beautiful picture behind me and you could see the disaster I'm sitting in because I'm in the process of moving and doing a house. Okay. The thing I've got to stop and say, okay, I've got a group coaching, on Monday. This is a great place for me to bring this. But until then, I can ask myself 3 questions. What is working? Because something is working. Okay. What can I do better? Right? What can I do better? And what isn't working? Or what isn't working and what can I do better? Right? What isn't working? Okay. Well, let's put that over there. And then what can I do better? And that can at least help me get focused until I get through the rest and navigate through the rest of the clarity. What is working? Because something's working. I got up this morning. I had coffee, right? So, we got some positive things happening here. What is working?
I love that because when you shift your focus, you're also looking at what are the resources out there. And sometimes the resources are not big. Just like you said, Amy, earlier, it's not the big things that are flying around us. It's often the little things, right? But there are a lot of little things flying around us, like almost little dust particles or little nagging little things.
Fruit flies.
We call them,
oh boy,
we call them black flies or mayflies here in New Hampshire.
Okay. So when we focus on that, we are not necessarily resourceful. And then that kind of, if we go then inward and we go, well, now I'm not a resourceful person. That's not true. There are no unresourceful people. There are only unresourceful state of minds. So if I shift a little bit, I can see the other resources that are out there, asking someone for help, going for a walk with a dog, I see a common theme here today, because if you guys would see my desk, it's like literally a tornado went down on my desk. It's pretty crazy. So taking one piece of paper, looking at it, doing whatever you need to do with it, file it, throw it away, put it on another piece of paper, I don't care, do something with it, and then pick up the next piece of paper, right? Often we want to do everything at once, but that's just not how stuff gets done.
or we want to set a match to it, which is not a good answer either. One piece at a time. I get it.
Or sometimes what we do is we just ignore it, and I think sometimes that's even worse. Sometimes you might just want to put a match to it, because I think, I know I've done it, and I know a lot of people that do it. You just get so overwhelmed during that spiral that you spiral, you just absolutely ignore what's going on, and then it just makes everything that much worse.
One step at a time.
You know what?
I shared that with our youngest yesterday. She had all of these things in her head that she wants to do, and I said, just start with one. Oh, but I gotta clean out the entire closet. And no, just start with one clothing. Take a picture of it, put it on Depop, and then take the next one. And then on the weekend, we can clean out the closet or whatever you want to do. One thing, not 500.
And unpack one box at a time, people.
Yeah, Jeannie, one box at a time. I'll be circling back on this conversation, because we just sold a property and we're getting ready to pack it up this weekend. It's not very big. It's probably not as big as this room, but there's a lot of stuff there. I'm going to need some emotional help.
I like the imagery there of circling back too, since we've been talking about tornadoes.
Love this conversation. And I think the last thought I have on that, if everything else fails, be the eye of the tornado.
Yep.
Breathe, be calm, and know it'll settle.
Well, thank you guys so much for your thoughts on this topic. So hopefully, as you're listening to this and thinking about this topic, you have some tips now and different patterns to think through, as when you feel like you're spiraling out of control, you can stop it. You can turn the circumference or the direction of the spin. You can be spinning up towards whatever inspires you, motivates you, and or, as Brigitte said, you can just stop and pause and be the center of that storm. Thank you so much for listening in, and look forward to another episode. We appreciate you listening in. Do you have something you would like to chat about with us, or maybe chime in on? Contact Amy, Brigitte, Jeannie, Cindy, or Kendall at the email addresses listed on the screen. Or submit a topic you would like for us to discuss by emailing Kendall Rawls at kendall@rawlsgroup.com. We would love your feedback. Thank you to our 5 excellent coaches for sharing insight and perspectives and showing the power of vulnerability. Your Tribe is produced by the Rawls Group Business Succession Planners.